Did you know that 90% of the world's millionaires invest in real estate? Well, I'm Angel with the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I'm here to help you if you want to go for your piece of that pie. Nathan, do you have that same feeling? Like you're helping out the people that you're renting to? And
Yeah, one of the biggest surprises I had was I started renting out by the room here. Like I have family that does really luxury construction. Like I have an uncle that just won't deal with a property unless it's like $1 million plus. Um, and I mean, he does pretty good. So I'm like used to seeing this higher standard, and then I have this rent by the room situation. I was like, people aren't gonna like this place, and it turns out that like this ends up being luxury to what their perspective has been. So that part's been nice.
yeah, that's so the portfolio we're looking at is I came to the realization that when we purchased houses, I thought of them as houses that I would be willing to live in. And so that's kind of, we did the 322. That was kind of our vision. Those were the kind of houses we got. Well, then this portfolio kind of fell into our lap. And for the first time, I had to stop and say, wait a second. People need to live here. And even though it's not a house that I would live in, not at this current state, there are people that they want this house, they need this house, and this is an amazing house to them.
Yep.
And it was just kind of it was a gut check. It was like, wow. So then it was like, it became an obligation to me to try and get those houses and bring them up to a standard that I was comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And because I mean, they're not horrible. It's not like slumlord properties. I mean, they're decent. But it's like, it gave me a different perspective, because mm-hmm. I wanted to make those houses a lot better so that those tenants would have an amazing house to live in. Yeah. And you feel obligated. It's like it is helping people, and you want to help people, and you want to give them the best that you can at that price point.
Yeah. And the real estate investing community needs more of us out there, because there are some landlords out there who buy the properties, they suck the life out of the properties, and then never put a dime into it. And that's really unfortunate. And those are the kind of properties you often see in those tax auctions. And I'm sure that's the kind of property that I bought. We're about to unfold the whole picture here soon. Update to come. But, I was talking to the appraiser of that city, and he's like, I don't even know why they do those auctions. Like, those landlords, they just suck the life right out of them. They never fix it up. And then some people come by and buy them, think they're going to do something with it, and then they never do. We might as well just tear the houses down. I'm like, well, sir, I assure you, and he's speaking from experience, and I'm sure that happens a lot. I'm like, sure, sir, I'm not that person. And this house is going to be in a lot better condition than I found it within 6 months. And we're going to provide some nice housing. Actually, there's a very good chance that this property will provide some Section 8 housing as well, which I am not opposed to. But yeah, like, it adds value to the community. People need places to live, and they don't always have control of the kind of place that they can live in. It's whatever is there and whatever falls in their price point. So
yeah, I had actually had someone tell me that I don't know, I feel bad repeating it, but basically said that I don't understand their mindset. And I was like, what? And he's like, they don't think like us. I was like, what are you saying? Because when I explained my idea of making it the best that I could at that price point, and this person was like, they're not going to care. They don't think like us. And I was like, I was kind of embarrassed, because I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I say that a lot in real estate, but it was, and I don't know, maybe that's been his experience. But I would think that it wouldn't matter how much money I was making or how much money I had to pay. I would want the best I could get for that money.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want it to be I want the houses to be safe and for people to feel safe and feel like they don't have to worry about water coming in the roof and knowing that they'll have AC and heaters.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
It was a really weird conversation. And I mean, I would like, Nathan, like what you were saying, I would want them to come into the houses that we have and think this is luxury. You know, all of my walls are painted the same color. You know, the outside is all one color. It's, you know, it's not, I mean, I'm just things that like you don't think about. Like the shingles aren't falling off the side of the house or the siding isn't falling off the side of the house, because I've seen people rent those kind of houses, and I don't want to be that landlord. I don't want to be that owner or investor.
You know, on the flip side too, I had a realtor send me a lead on a house that very much looked like that. And as an investor, I immediately came to, well, that property clearly hasn't been kept up. And somehow there are tenants living in it. So that makes me have to wonder what kind of lease is in place, if any. And the realtor came out and told me, he's also an investor. He's like, I'm not sure there is a lease. And also, what kind of standards do they have and what kind of standards do they hold to taking care of their living quarters? So, you know, when you're going to acquire a property that already has tenants, like you inherit tenants, you know, not all tenants are created equally. And if they're going to accept those kind of living conditions, and, you know, sometimes there is no choice in the matter, but other times just standards are lowered all around.
Yeah. Well, in the portfolio we're looking at, 4 are tenanted. One of them is not. So, but it actually kind of works out because the one that's not has a foundation problem.
Gotcha.
So that's going to have to be fixed. And like you said, you know, a lot of people, when they hear foundation, they freak. I heard foundation, I freaked. And we work with a realtor, and he was like, you just have to put that in to what you have to fix. You just have to consider it. It's just another cost that you have to consider.
Yeah. Foundation, it can be a little bit of a gamble, because I'm telling you, that house, that our $7,000 house, it had a gradient from one side of the house to the other of 7 inches. It was so bad. So there was like other parts of the house, it was about to fall in. There were other parts of the house that, like, you know, there's one room where the floor and the wall were like all of a sudden not attached. Like, it wasn't bad, but like somebody did a DIY and they took a huge header out of the basement, which caused this ridiculous foundation problem. So basically they had Nathan's laughing. So they had to,
they took out a load bearing wall. I mean, holy night.
It was like, yeah, not even a wall. It was why am I having trouble thinking of the word? But this huge beam in the basement holding up a main part of the house. They took it out. So our contractors, they had to, you know, jack it up as much as they could, because there's only so much you can do, and then put in a completely new like cement wall at that new
height
section. Yeah, at that new height. But, you know, underneath this were rocks, and they were about to fall in, and then the house was, I don't even know. It was bad. So they were able to bring it to 3 inches. So there's still a little bit of a gradient, but it's a lot better than it was. And while you're jacking that house up, you don't know what's going to happen, because it could create tension in places that you don't want tension, aka like bust out some windows. It could cause a bunch of cracks, like in other parts of, yeah, Nathan's, I feel you. You know, in the walls, it could buckle some flooring. Like, you don't, it's a bit of a gamble. And I think that's what scares people, because sure, we can, you know, put in a new wall in the basement and fix this, but what's going to happen in the process? And what kind of domino effect are we going to pay for? So I guess I should say, like, maybe we got lucky. I don't know.
I've never had a house with a basement. So
Yeah, here in Texas, it really isn't a thing.
all the houses that I've lived in or that we own are slab or pier and beam. So I've had
Okay.
some experience with pier and beam where the house is uneven, but it's more a settling issue. And the pier and beams aren't that bad. You just jack up that one little section and throw another cement block or something under it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what you would do with a basement. I mean, that's like a whole nother room.
You just
My ignorance. That's a whole
you
nother
you jack the house up. I don't know. With a jack, like legit.
I'm aware. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's been a fun ride. I'm really glad that we did choose to go on it because it could have started very badly, and we could have surely stopped after that first experience. But yeah, we're gonna keep going and we're gonna keep growing from here. Like, I don't see any reason to stop. I'm not sure how big of a portfolio I want, to be honest. I think at some point I'll probably become involved in syndications or some other more passive
and passive investing and syndication, holy night. Like with our single family homes, we're passive.
No. No, you're not.
When there was roof problems, we still had to take care of those phone calls. I still had to call the insurance. I still had to take care of all of that junk. When the plumbing had problems, I had to man that phone call from my manager and discuss the options and all of those things. Well, we're passive in 4 different syndications and we just get distributions.
Yep.
We don't get phone calls. We don't have to help make decisions. You just get distributions. And I was like, I thought we were passive before. What?
Right. Yeah. So eventually we want to move in that direction. I twistedly enjoy this active investing, even though I'm 1,600 miles away. There are a lot of phone calls that I need to make, and managing, like, even though I have a project manager, there are still things we have to discuss on a regular basis. How's the progress come along? Making distributions to keep progress coming along, and taxes, like all sorts of things that I have to do, even being this far away. So it's very active, and I, in a twisted way, enjoy it. My husband, on the other hand, he's like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is like my baby. You go on.
I mean, like, so when you're thinking about self-managing, I'm thinking about Nathan right now. You probably actually have a like pretty deep relationship with the people that rent the rooms from you. I would think that would be really tough because like you know more about their situations, and that's one of the things I don't want to happen with self-managing, because I saw my grandparents do it. They'd listen to a sob story and they'd let somebody skip a month of rent or pay next week or do all these things. I mean, like I was telling Cindy, it's very one-on-one relationship with each renter. And I would think that, especially in your situation with a house hack, you know what's going on with your renters. You have a relationship with your renters. And I would think that would make it really difficult.
I wouldn't say it's difficult, but everything that's communicated is written down, and there is a audit trail of everything. Just because I don't want any word of mouth, like.
That's awesome.
So, and then I use Cozy, which allows me to upload a bunch of documents.
I'm sorry, I'm shocked.
So you keep it professional, even though y'all are living under the same roof.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, it's not like strict like you would get with a traditional arrangement, but somewhere in the middle there. Still professional, but still flexible in a way.
That's wild, though.
Yeah, I had to. Actually, that was actually part of my filtering criteria when I was listing rooms. Basically, people that gave me stories basically got removed from my list. I was like,
because you don't want the drama.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really cool, though. So, like, transactionally, everything is documented.
Yeah, and Cozy is nice because it gives them a center point of payment collection, and then you, as the landlord, also have the option of like adding credits. So if they have alternative payment methods that Cozy doesn't support, you can take them and then you can just add credit to the Cozy account. So Cozy is the source of truth, even if it didn't run through there.
That is just wild. I learned so much from these. I mean, it is the wildest thing. But one little tidbit that I do have that I haven't heard yet, and I actually got the idea from Marcella and Chris, because they were saying that they had their line of credit from their investment properties, and she called it, it was a business line of credit, a BLOC. And so when we were looking for this portfolio, we're doing a commercial loan, and that was where we learned about the equity line of credit based on the equity in your investment properties. And even though things are tough with COVID, you've still got equity in those properties. And if you have a relationship with your banker, you can get more things done. And so we are, fingers crossed, but it looks very positive that we will be able to get that equity line of credit on our investment properties. And that's another way to get your dollar to work more than once for you. So we do something called the infinite banking concept, where you like sock the money into a life insurance policy, then you're able to get money out of that to invest how you want. And if you want to know more about that, I can connect y'all with the people that we use. David White and Erica Neal, and they are awesome. They've actually been on an episode before talking about the concept, infinite banking concept. And so it's really cool, and it's a way to get a single dollar to work more than once. But when I started looking at the equity line of credit, it's a way to get access to your equity and make those dollars work more than once. And so when I saw that, I was just like, because I think that like in this new step of our investor career, we're trying to figure out how to make our dollars work smarter, and getting those dollars to work for you, the same dollar, more than once, is pretty outrageous. I had no idea you could even do it. And so getting into this space has just been tremendous for our learning and for everything we've just discovered. And it makes me want to share more and more and more stuff, because it's crazy and nobody teaches it to you. You don't learn this in college. Even my friends that have like entrepreneurship degrees and finance degrees, they didn't learn this stuff in college. And I don't know. I just want to keep sharing with people and helping people, because nothing sucks more than being paycheck to paycheck and knowing you have no wiggle room, and that's your life for the rest of it. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try and help people get out of that, because it just sucks. So, but that's that. Um, this has been an amazing, amazing, amazing episode. Probably my favorite so far, but don't tell any of my other speakers that, or any of my other guests. But this has been awesome. I've learned a ton, and that's my selfish goal.
I love hearing it. That's awesome. I'm not sure if I heard it during our like goal setting workshop. Maybe I was busy driving or multitasking or something. I know you wanted to be a big name in the education realm, but yeah, that's really cool hearing like your why behind it.
Yeah, there's we have a really big why, because our son has that really rare genetic disorder, and our ultimate goal is to personally donate over $100,000 every year to the One Alliance that researches what he has. And now Jason and I are talking about having this nonprofit set up and granting scholarships to people so that their kids can get ABA therapy, because it's one of the top therapies for children with autism and adults with autism, but it's very, very, very expensive. One-on-one therapy, 20 to 40 hours a week. It's I think our bill is 80 or 90,000 a year, and that's why that's one of the reasons why I was teaching, was to get the insurance, because the insurance would cover it. And so when we started looking for ways to cut our W-2, the first thing I had to do was find medical insurance that would cover our son's ABA. And we've recently decided that not only do we want to donate to the alliance that researches what our son has, but we also want to be able to give families some scholarships to help cover those ABA bills, because they are tremendous. And not every state requires coverage.
Yeah.
So it's
Totally.
it's very cost prohibitive.
For sure.
So,
Awesome.
yeah. So that was our big why, and the reason why we went into real estate, was to be able to offer that. And with what our son has, many children don't make it past 30 or 40. But even if our son is not one of the ones that's fortunate enough to make it past that age, we fully intend to continue making those donations once we get there. It's just something we want to do, and we want to have an endowment so that even when we're gone, it's still happening, because it's scary. And you said knowledge is power. When we found out that Anson had that issue, what did I do? I started researching. Well, no cure, no treatment. At that point, when he was diagnosed, he was like 19 months old. So say 2012, there were 742 cases in the world.
Wow.
I think now they're saying there's 14 or 1,500. But a lot of children are just diagnosed with autism and they don't get the genetic testing. So it could be much more common. But because there just aren't that many with it, it doesn't even have a cute name. Like, well, I'm not saying cancer is cute, but at least it has a name. But what my son has is called DUP15Q. It is a duplication on the long arm of the 15th chromosome in the Q section. So it is literally DUP15Q, and that's its name. And yeah, it gives you a different perspective on things, and wanting to make that our legacy, and knowing that we needed a vehicle that could get us there, because once Jason and I are gone, we don't want our daughters to have to worry about how they're going to pay Anson's medical bills. We just want them to love him, and to know that all they have to do is love him, because everything else is taken care of. So it's a big deal to us. But then there's little sub-whys. So, and yeah. But I think that there are a lot more people like us in real estate than we know, because not everybody's going to tell you their story. A lot of people will, like those of us that are crazy extroverts, but a lot of people won't. And you'll never know what their why is and why it means so much to them. So, but anyway, there's that piece of me.
Well, thank you for sharing. This was fun, Angel. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm glad we had this talk. And Nathan for having a surprise guest appearance.
Good.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm probably going to reach out to you. You're going to need to give me your contact info over here, because I want to know more about this software thing. And like, well, I just think it's cool. I want to know more about it, and maybe I'll have to pull a whole bunch of people on, because now I'm super interested about how a fire movement can be like customizable. I guess it's always customizable, but you know what I mean? Like, there's segments of it, and people like fall into those segments, and I just want to know so much more. But we've already been on for like 2 hours and I don't want to dominate your day. So, but man, just thank you, both of y'all, and Annette for sticking it out with us. Oh, I think she fell off actually. But she was here for a long time.
Oh.
Yeah, no, this was definitely my favorite so far.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, this was cool. And it helped me out too, because I've been having a pretty crummy week.
I hope it gets better, friend. When does your husband come back?
Hopefully today. He thought they had originally planned for the week, but they stayed yesterday late to finish up the sensors on the machine. I don't know what I can disclose. But they put sensors in it because they needed to be able to read it remotely so that they wouldn't have to go back out of state and they could stay here. So
Cool.
But all right, well, I'm gonna at least stop recording since it's just us. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you got as much out of this one as I did. This was like a therapy session for me. It's I needed today, and I hope that some of you needed today also, and you learned a ton. And I'll see you next time. So everybody have a great day, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.